What's up, Facebook? We have a very special guest today. He should be coming on board pretty soon here. Let's see. I'm going to get him on board. Ben Azadi wants to be in your video. Approve. All right, bring them on camera.
Sumer,
What's up, man?
happy Wednesday, brother. Look at that book behind you,
I
man. What's up,
know.
dude?
I strategically placed it there.
I see that. Thank you, man. Thank you for having me today. How are you, dude?
I'm good, man. I just want to give a little lowdown of the guests about who you are. Ben Azadi, this guy is a special guest to me because he inspires me to step up every single day. But he's someone who took his health from a place of being depressed, being overweight, not thriving, to a place where he transformed, where he cultivated a sense of health that really just pervades into every part of his life. And he didn't stop there. It wasn't enough to just go and transform his life. He wanted to pursue more knowledge. He's got this fiery pursuit of more wisdom, more knowledge. And he took that. And by the way, he's an avid reader. He's read like hundreds, if not thousands of books. And he took that like fire. He started a gym called Live Free CrossFit. He started helping people move better. But he knew that wasn't enough either. So he wanted to go deeper. So he got with mentors that of the likes of Shawn Stevenson, Ben Greenfield, Daniel Eisenman, Grant Cardone, learned a bunch from them, started helping other clients succeed in their health and fat loss goals. And that wasn't still enough. He wanted to go deeper. So he wrote two amazing books. One book is right here called The Perfect Health Booklet, which I've read, amazing book, and another book called The Intermittent Fasting Guide Cheat Sheet. So without further ado, y'all, let's welcome Ben Azadi.
Wow, what an intro, dude. Added to that list of my mentors is you, my brother. I am inspired by you and all that you are about. You are a wealth of knowledge, so authentic and transparent and genuine and knowledgeable. I learn more from you than you actually know. I'm inspired from you than you actually realize. And you're on that list for sure, dude. So I want to acknowledge you for the great work that you do in Austin and in the world, bro. It's making such an impact.
I appreciate it, brother. But I want to jump right into it, man. I know we have limited time. We have 40 minutes. So why this book? Why did you write this book?
Yeah, well, The Perfect Health Booklet. I was inspired to write it from Grant Cardone, actually. So Grant Cardone is Mr. 10X. He's an entrepreneur, real estate guy, very smart guy. I studied him like a scientist. He has a book called The Millionaire Booklet. And his Millionaire Booklet is brilliant because he's given it away for free to probably over 100,000 people. And what it is, he wrote a very quick, easy to understand booklet on how to earn money, save that money, and then duplicate that money, right? Very easy principles. It's all about money and creating financial wealth. So I was walking my dog one summer afternoon here in Miami, and I was thinking about that Millionaire Booklet, and I had always wanted to write a book, and I always started and stopped, and I thought, what if I wrote the health version of his Millionaire Booklet? It just came to me, and I'm like, oh, I got to take action. So I immediately walked home, went into my office, and I just started writing away. A month and a half later, the book was complete. And then a few months later, it was out into the world, became #1 in its category. So I wrote it because I'm inspired to share the message, like you said, on health. And my duty, obligation, and responsibility is to cut through all the noise in the nutrition space, in the health space, because so many people are confused like I was. So it is my responsibility to cut through the noise and then give them easy to understand golden nuggets so they could read it and understand what's going on, what is perfect health. And perfect health is getting your body to function the way that it was designed to function. Function normal. You know, when we're functioning normal, we're thriving, dude. We have high energy levels. We have mental clarity. We have blood work that backs it up. And that's what perfect health is. And that's what that book is in a nutshell.
So a month? It took you a month and you were just like, it was published?
A month and a half, yeah.
Damn. That's taking massive action right there, man. That's amazing.
Totally, man. And before, the old me would have been procrastinating, wanting to get everything perfect. And I understand through Grant Cardone, through my other mentors, that nothing is going to be perfect. And this is coming from somebody who has the word perfect on the title. And that procrastination is just a habit. You know, I was not a procrastinator. I had just had the habit of procrastinating. So I changed my habit, speed of implementation, imperfect action. And that's the role that I play nowadays.
You know, guys, like, this book has just principles that are just distilled down to like very simple fundamental truths. And it's just not like, you know, random health tips that are just kind of cultivated in one book. It's even like how to get your mind to a state from which you can actually create these habits to change your life, which is very interesting. It's not your typical book that's just like, here's a science, here's a science, here's a science. It's like, well, how can you get your mind there in the first place? So I wanted to start with that, man. It's like, what are some of like the biggest misconceptions you hear? I mean, some of the things I will share with you that I hear all the time. There's the fat myth, right? Like you even posted this cool post about like lipophobia.
Yeah.
You know, people are scared of fat long enough to where it becomes a truth. Like a lot, you know, that's one thing. But what are some like the biggest misconceptions you've heard on health? And I can mention a few from the book. But what are some of the biggest misconceptions, and how have you debunked those?
The biggest one, I would say, is the myth that you need to eat every 2 to 3 hours.
Okay.
You know, the snacking myth. And I'm here to say to anybody who follows that, if you want to age faster than anyone in your neighborhood, then continue eating every 2 to 3 hours, because that'll age you. Because if you look at just human physiology, the more frequently you spike glucose and insulin, the faster you age. So even if you're eating healthy snacks, you're still spiking glucose and insulin, and you're glycating your cells. And think of like when you bite into an apple and it turns brown, you're doing this to your cells over and over again, the more frequently you're eating. So there's a huge misconception that it's going to give you energy. You got to keep your metabolism revved up. Both of these things are completely not true. It's been debunked. And eating food does not give you energy. It actually takes energy away from you. It takes massive amounts of energy and resources to chew the food, digest the food, assimilate the food from macronutrients to micronutrients. It takes blood flow away from your brain to focus on digestion. So it does not give you energy. It's the complete opposite.
And so for those people that don't know, like, what is the function of insulin?
Insulin is a survival mechanism. It's a beautiful thing. You know, it's not the bad guy. It's a fat storage hormone. So the human body, it only wants about 1 teaspoon of sugar in the blood. Anything more is considered toxic, right? So when we eat food, protein and carbohydrates, our body converts that to glucose in our body, which is just like strings of sugar. So we convert all that food into sugar, and then it raises our blood sugar over 1 teaspoon, and our body needs to deal with that. Because remember, we can't have more than 1 teaspoon. It's toxic. So then your body calls the insulin troops to come in and grab the sugar out of the blood and put it into your cells. It puts it into your liver, your muscle, and you can store about 2,000 calories in there, and anything more is made in fat cells, going into your fat cells. So insulin is a great thing because it helps us store this food energy. Back in the day, we needed this because we needed to store as much fat as possible because we didn't know when the next meal was coming in. So insulin helped us do that so we could store the fat. And then when we weren't eating, we could pull the fat out for energy. So it's a survival mechanism. The problem is that when we spike it too much and too frequently, we become desensitized to insulin resistance. And that's where fat gain begins and type 2 diabetes. So it's not the bad guy, but you don't want to spike it all the time.
Now, when you say insulin resistant, you mean like the tissues are resistant to even sensing or being able to sense that insulin's around? What do you mean by that?
So what happens is it's kind of like when, let's say you have children and you're screaming at them to go clean their room, right? And the first time they're going to listen because you screamed and they're like, oh, wow, dad is screaming at me. And then, you know, day in, day out, you keep yelling at them, go clean your room, go clean your room. And you keep shouting. They're going to become desensitized to that signal because they're going to be like, oh, dad is always screaming at us. The same thing happens with your insulin. If you're constantly spiking it, it's going to become, that signal is going to become, you're not going to really listen to it because A, you're going to run out of room in your cells because think of like putting that sugar into your fat cells, you only have a certain amount of room in there. It's like trying to stuff clothes into a suitcase that's packed. And, you know, it's just not being, you can't fit anything in there, so it has to create more fat cells. So we want sensitive hormones. We want hormones that are able to communicate with each other and receive the message. And then when you do that, that's perfect health. We don't want hormones that are sending signals, but they're like not listening to each other because they're just being screamed at all the time. So that's what I mean by insulin resistance.
Now, you mentioned a few things that I thought was fascinating. You mentioned the word glycation. Now, I understand glycation, but for those who don't know, if you're eating too frequently and you're doing this, you're becoming more insulin insensitive, and you're glycating your tissues and your cells. What does that mean? What does glycation mean?
Yeah, glycation is, the sugar is very sticky to our cell membrane. And when you look at the cell membrane, that's as upstream as it gets. Like if you want to get to the root cause of what's going on with you, whether it's autoimmune disease, being overweight, type 2 diabetic, it's the cell. You want to heal the cell to get well. So when you eat protein and carbs, that is converted to sugar, like I mentioned, glucose, and then it goes into your cells, and that's very sticky to your cell membrane. So it glycates it, meaning when you bite into an apple, it turns brown. Similar to that, it's kind of aging your cells. When you eat fat, it doesn't really do that. You know, you eat fat and you burn fat for fuel. You're not glycating your cells. And then when you're not eating, you're not doing any of that. So the more frequently you're eating, the more of this browning is happening with your cells. So that's what glycation is in a nutshell.
Now, the ramifications of glycation could be things like your joints are affected, you're more susceptible to pain. What are some of the other consequences of glycation other than, you know, storing more fat and becoming insulin insensitive?
Yeah, well, you're aging yourself, so you are not living longer for sure. You're going to have a shorter lifespan. Your telomeres are shortening, so your telomeres are they're little chromosomes at the end of your DNA, and it's the most accurate way to determine how long somebody's going to live. I want you to think of your telomeres, for those watching, as kind of like the plastic casings at the end of your shoelaces. I think they're called inlets or aglets or something like that. So think of your telomeres like the plastic casing around your DNA. When you're born, you have a certain length of your telomeres, and it starts to shorten as you age. The faster they shorten, the more susceptible you are to diseases. So when you're glycating yourself, you're shortening your telomeres. Now, when you're not glycating yourselves as frequently, if you're doing things like eating more healthy fats and intermittent fasting, you actually could extend your telomeres, and I call it the Benjamin Button effect. So yeah, it has a lot of ramifications, and you could test your telomeres with a company called TeloYears. It's very easy. They send you a kit, and you prick your blood and send it back, and it's like $150 to see what your cellular age is.
Gotcha. That's cool. So why isn't this common knowledge? Number one. And number two, the second question to that is, there are a lot of people out there that talk about nutrition. They talk about nutrition from the standpoint of calories in, calories out. But, you know, as you've read from your book and from what you've learned all these years, it's not as simple as that. Like, the body is so intricate to create such a simplistic model of in and out. It's just not taking into account so many things. So what's going on there? So why isn't this common knowledge first? And then the second question was, what is going on with the calories in, calories out model?
And they're related. Both of those are related. Great question. What's going on is, I mean, there's so much money behind, you know, snack foods and breakfast foods and the calories in, calories out approach. It was created by Coca-Cola, created that energy expenditure hypothesis is what they called it, because they were taking a hit with their sales in the 90s when they started to discover that sugar was really bad for you. So they came up with this hypothesis that it's not bad for you as long as you keep your calories in check. So they started promoting this, you know, as long as I think they have a quote saying 1 can of soda is like 140 calories. If you balance that out with exercise, you're good. There's no dangers to it, something like that. Yeah. Which is complete BS, because the human body is not a freaking math equation. It's not a calculator. It is a complex chemistry lab, and calories do not matter at all. It's about the metabolic response from the calories that we eat. It's the quality of the calories. And the reason why this is not common, like somebody watching this, they're going to think that either I'm insane or how come I've never heard about this before? Well, let's look at, if you dig into like what's going on, it's crazy, because the Academy for Nutrition and Dietetics, like somebody is overweight and they go and they hire a dietitian or a nutritionist or their doctor. Look at their schooling. 40% of the funding of their schooling came from Coca-Cola and big food companies, Kraft, General Mills, who came up with this hypothesis. So they're taught that in school.
Ah.
So they teach it to their clients. Not all of them. The ones that are keeping up with science and forward thinking, they stop promoting that and they teach them what's right. But most doctors and nutrition dietitians, they believe this is the approach because they were taught that in school. So I don't think they're evil. I just think that there's a lot of corruption behind it, dude.
And I think it's kind of weird because there's so much clinical literature out there regarding this science, the science of how you can change the way your hormones are acting in the body. And I see hormones as kind of like the traffic cops of your body. They kind of direct the flow of metabolic processes and all this stuff going on. And that is so evident in the literature. So I wonder, like, if it's in the literature, if it's there, it's pervading throughout all clinical stuff and PubMed, all that fun stuff. Aside from them being told this, what's preventing them from also, disseminating that information to their patients?
Because there's also literature that's showing the complete opposite. That's flawed research. And if you have cognitive bias, you're going to follow that because it follows along with your principles. That's number one. Number two is, think about a nutritionist that has been a nutritionist for 20 years teaching this calories in, calories out method. And then they come and they read the truth. They have a decision to make. Am I going to call the last 20 years of my career a freaking lie and I've been duping people and I've been giving them bad information? Or am I going to just like turn my ear and keep doing what I'm doing? So
true.
It's very hard. It's very hard to face the reality and admit that you were wrong. And that's why I respect a lot of doctors and nutritionists that I do follow, like my mentors, like Dr. Jason Fung, Dr. Joseph Mercola, Timothy Noakes. These guys were traditional doctors and they discovered the truth and they decided to change and adopt what's actually the real truth. And I have so much respect for those people. So there's a lot behind it, man.
Yeah, I'm assuming too, Big Pharma has a big hand in a lot of it too. Pharmaceutical companies have a big hand in how things work. And I think I work with 4 or 5 doctors here at TLF, and they keep mentioning to me that the volume of people they have to see is so large that the amount of time they actually have to spend with each patient to talk to them about lifestyle changes and things of that nature are this much, as you're given that much time to do it. And by that time, they're not incentivized to do that, number one. Number two, they're not really paid to do the same thing either. And a lot of doctors I work with, they know there's a lot of fuckery going on in the system, and they don't believe in a lot of the ways things are done. They feel in a way trapped. So that's kind of an interesting perspective that some of the doctors that do believe in this work and do see that there's health beyond just the pill or the interventional knife being sliced through your body feel trapped in a way. So, here's a big concept question for you. And I think we've put our heads together, everyone here, maybe we come up with a solution. Like, how could we help that scenario? How can we help that situation? How can we help people with this kind of information and help people get better?
Yeah, well, by doing what we're doing right now, brother. I mean, Facebook Live, books, podcasts. You see me and I see you. We are very active on social media, sharing that. It's our obligation to share this as much as possible. So I'm posting all day long. I'm posting about this. That's our duty. That's your duty. It's my duty. So that's how we do it. We speak on stage. We have podcasts. We collaborate with others that are forward thinkers and free thinkers as much as possible. Massive action, dude. And the more we do that, the more we unite and share the message, the more people, and we don't want people to just necessarily believe us. Like anybody watching this, we don't want you to just believe what we're saying. We want you to have the faith in us to maybe do some research and then experiment and then see what results you're getting, which is the only thing that matters. And I just challenge you, for those of you watching this and you don't really understand what we're saying, or you think it's a little crazy, just have faith, because fear and faith both demand for you to believe in something you cannot see. You get to choose. So please just have the faith and experiment and research. And if you're getting amazing results, like, that's it. You found what's working for you. So that's how we do it, man. We just collaborate as much as possible.
Amazing, man. Yeah. And the next question I have for you is, like, someone who is watching this right now, someone who just does not know where to start, or someone has some skin in the game for a long time, like, and just feels like they're not getting to the place they want to get to. Say they've hit a plateau. with their, like they can't cultivate the same amount of energy in their workouts. They can't push beyond that. They're not recovering properly. You know, and I've gone through this journey recently as an entrepreneur, as you probably watched that last video on blood testing. Would you say getting a blood test first is the most crucial first step?
Yeah, definitely. You don't want to guess, you want to test. So get some blood markers done. There are some more important ones than other ones. If you haven't watched Sumer's live stream from, I think it was last Saturday, he got, it was Wellness FX, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Wellness FX is awesome. It gives you, he explained his breakdown. So do the same test that Sumer did, watch his video, and yeah, get your blood work done, see where your markers are at. Keep in mind though, if you're getting your blood work done with just a conventional doctor, the reference ranges that they're going to come back with are the reference ranges of all the sick Americans in the whole US. So there is the reference range, and then there's the optimal range, which is a little bit smaller. So you need to look at your lab work with somebody who actually knows the difference. Because if you have, for instance, you do your vitamin D, right? Your vitamin D is such an important marker, which you talked about. Yours is low. And you do it with a regular doctor, and it's 31. Let's say your vitamin D is 31. That is within range according to their lab work. They're going to tell you, oh, you're fine. It's a little on the low end, but it's still in range. I believe that's really low because I think your vitamin D should be 75 to 100. And their range is 30 to 70. So it's crazy. So there's things like that. So definitely, number one, get your blood tested and make sure you're looking at the optimal range, not the entire reference range.
Now, that's awesome knowledge to know. But like, what you just mentioned, vitamin D. What are some other like crucial markers to get tested? Because a lot of times you go to a doctor, they give you a basic panel, and the basic panel like excludes so much vital information that helps you get a little more edge on what to change or optimize. So what are some of the crucial markers people should test?
Well, I'm FDN certified, right? So I'm a functional diagnostic nutrition certified. And what they've taught me in this course is 5 labs. These 5 labs, if you run them on a client, you know about 85% of what's going on with this person. So it gives you steroid hormone balance, right? It gives you your testosterone, it gives you your estrogen, your estradiol, your melatonin. These are important markers to look at, your hormonal balance, what's going on there. And then also a salivary cortisol test, right? To see how you are adapting to stress. Salivary, I like more than blood cortisol. I don't think blood cortisol is that accurate. So a salivary cortisol test is you spitting, and I did it yesterday for myself, you spitting in a tube in the morning, noon, 5 p.m., 10 p.m. And what we want to see there is when you wake up in the morning, your cortisol is up and elevated, but within the optimal range. And then we have, like you mentioned, that diurnal rhythm where it starts to peak down, but it's in that optimal range the whole day. That means you're adapting to stress well, you have good energy levels. And if it's not where you want it to be, then we know we have clues there, right? We wouldn't treat the test, but we'd have some clues there. So definitely doing that and then expanding from there. I don't want to confuse people and give them all this information. So if you're going to your general practitioner, the ones that I would like for you to request is your hemoglobin A1C, which shows how good you're aging, essentially. If it is above 5.7, you're pre-diabetic. If it's above 6.5, you're type 2 diabetic. What I would love for to see that is in the upper 4s, like 4.8, 4.9. That's a good way to show that you are aging gracefully. So A1C is great. It's a snapshot of 3 months of your blood sugar. Definitely get a hormone panel. Your testosterone you could get with your doctor, your estrogen and all the sex hormones you want to get. Your thyroid hormone, you want a complete thyroid hormone panel. And then vitamin D and C-reactive protein. So if you get those done, that's a good way to kind of give you a baseline and then go from there.
That's awesome. You know, like with all of these markers that you're testing too, I think it's something that's important to note. Maybe you can shine some light on this. It's important to note that these markers are showing you a snapshot in time of like how your body is physiologically responding to stressors and how it's like basically coexisting with the environment around you. So, you know, with that being said, it's like you hear a lot of people that are more along the mindset of, and you've probably had this in your coaching career too, it's like they're the mindset, well, how is this going to make me burn fat, Ben? How am I going to build muscle? Like they're so focused on building muscle and burning fat, But obviously the priorities of their body is like, yo, like you're so freaking stressed, your inflammation's so high that that's not our priority right now. We don't give a shit about burning fat. Like what we care about right now is keeping you alive. Like, you know, that's like the priority of the body at that point. So how can we shine some light on that fact of people just wanting to burn fat and build muscle, and they're like, I just want to will it. I just want to work harder. You know, what do we do there?
That's a great question, dude. First of all, if you're overweight right now, that's not your problem. That's a symptom. That's the result of your problem. Your problem is your hormones. Your problem is your metabolism. That's where a lot of programs get it wrong, dude. They're telling you, you go to them and you pay hundreds of thousands of dollars and they're going to tell you, okay, let's help you lose weight to get healthy. And that's completely backwards. You don't lose weight to get healthy. You get healthy, and a side effect is you lose weight. So what we teach is getting your hormones communicating with each other. Like you said, they're the traffic cops. They're directing traffic. We have over 600 hormones, and all they want to do is freaking send their signal and receive the signals. So we focus on getting that right by removing toxins, removing stressors. The answer is not to exercise more. The answer is to get more sleep, right? I wrote a book about sleep. I believe sleep is more important. Quality sleep is more important than diet and exercise combined, because this sleep has the biggest influence on your hormones. So fix your sleep first and foremost. Then you take some toxins out of your life. What are toxins? It's the freaking cologne and perfume you're spraying on yourself. It's the shower you're taking that doesn't have a filter. It's the toothpaste you're using. It is the food that you're eating that's not organic and has pesticides that open up your leaky gut and tight junctions. It is the gas you're smelling during your daily run. It is so many things in our environment. So if we're not doing things to detox our body and pull out the toxins, we're never going to lose weight. Losing weight is anti-life. It's anti-survival. Our body wants to store fat, right? Because we're hardwired that way. So losing weight goes against our survival. So you got to focus on your hormones and your metabolism, and then you'll have more energy, and then you'll build more muscle, and then you'll burn fat. So that's first and foremost what you got to do.
Now, like, you know, it's a really hard, almost like counterintuitive to most people to think, oh, I got to go the sleep route, and then I have to cultivate this energy to be able to do the damn thing of training hard, recovering, so on and so forth. It almost seems like, well, like we talked about, shouldn't I just like push harder and then eat, sleep, train, repeat? Now, since they're in that mindset, and you just kind of shown some light on the truth of how hormones impact everything. If someone comes to you and they say, but Ben, that's like, it's just, everything can kill you, man. Everything's going to kill you. Like, I just want to live life to the fullest. What do you say to these people that come with you with that kind of comment of like, everything's trying to kill you, might as well just live life to the fullest, fly close to the sun? You know, like, what do you say to that?
I'll say to them that they're selfish, 100% selfish, because if you're not prioritizing your health, you're not your true self, man. You don't have the energy, you don't have the personality. Not only are you suffering, but you're selfish because those around you don't get the full you. They don't get the person that you were designed to be. You know, your family that you go on vacation with. If you're not healthy, you're not going to have the energy to spend with them. So they're robbed of you. You're not going to have the health to enjoy your time in relationship with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend. So you're being selfish. And then if you get sick, who has to take care of you? Your family, your friends. So I would say stop being selfish. We have been designed to live 120 years healthy. So focus on your health, live to 120, and you could have it all. You could fly close to the sun. You could have fun, and you could be healthy at the same time. But it starts with prioritizing your health. You don't burn fat at the gym. I'm sorry. You don't build muscle at the gym. I'm sorry. You burn fat while you sleep. 98% of fat burning takes place during sleep. You rebuild muscle and repair muscle during sleep. So if you're just going hard every day and waking up early to work out and sacrificing sleep, it's counterproductive. And just look at the results you're getting. You know, just look at the results you're getting. That's the only thing that matters. So that's what I would tell them.
Now, like you've probably heard of the word hormesis, right? Like basically, like you provide a stressor in your body in low doses, and then your body has a biological, hopefully favorable response. So what are we actually doing with exercise? Like, what are you accomplishing with exercise in the gym? What's happening physiologically, metabolically in the body?
Yeah, hormesis or hormetic response. It's a wonderful process that we have. And I used to own my gym, Live Free CrossFit, right? And let's say I had somebody walk, or let's talk about your gym. Somebody walks through your doors and you take their blood work, right? You just do all the markers that I mentioned. We'll look at their glucose, we'll look at their fasting insulin. You know, it is what it is. It looks normal. And then we'll put them through a workout, which is a hormetic stressor. It's a stressor to your hormones, but we want that sometimes. Then we do that same blood work right after their workout. Oh my God, they're going to look like they're type 2 diabetic. Their blood glucose is going to be sky high. They might look insulin resistant because it was a stressor to their hormones. Now, that's all great as long as you're giving yourself enough recovery and deep sleep to repair and build stronger. That's the entire process of rebuilding something. You tear down and you build up stronger, right? You have micro tears and micro trauma to your muscles and joints, and then you rest and recover and you build up stronger. That's how you grow and get bigger, better, faster, stronger. So that's what a hormetic response is. Jumping in ice water, also a hormetic response. Eating certain foods like lectins could create a low dose hormetic response. So things like that. But you know, we need to recover with fasting and sleep and supplementation to help us get stronger. If you're just every day a hormetic response with no recovery, you're not going to get the results you want. You're gonna damage yourself for sure.
So with exercise, you're saying that the hormetic response, you know, happens, and you're almost providing a stimulus, and the stimulus should ideally get you to that change that you want, which is for most people is building muscle, getting stronger, being more mobile, whatever it might be, should get you to that favorable, like, ultimate response. But between that stimulus and the ultimate response, that recovery period needs to happen. Like, I guess is that famous quote, between stimulus and response, there's just like this really important thing that needs to happen in between. So with recovery in itself, when you talk about sleep, when you talk about, you know, getting the toxins out of your body or your environment, so on and so forth, like with the idea of sleep, because we often talk about, like, you know, light exposure and making sure you're not like exposing yourself to too much light at night. But beyond that, are there other things that help you sleep better, other than like cutting out the noise and the technology around your environment? What are things that help you sleep in a more functional, more optimal state?
Yeah, definitely wearing blue blockers at night. I know you have some blue blockers. So blue blockers, they are glasses that look orange or yellow. And what they do is they block out blue light. So they filter out blue light so they could kind of reset your circadian rhythm. So that's super important. When the sun goes down, I'm wearing them at night because that's going to help you produce more melatonin, less cortisol, which is what you want at night. Melatonin is a sleep hormone, antioxidant, cancer fighting. That's going to help you wind down and get ready for bed. If you're not wearing those glasses and you have light exposure all around you, if you have your computer and you're getting stimulated, it'll be harder to fall asleep and get good quality sleep. So that's a major nugget right there. The next thing you can do is take some supplements like banana tea. I love banana tea. Have you heard of it before? So it's I learned this from Dr. Michael Bruce, who's America's sleep doctor, and I put it in my book, the new book. And what it is essentially an entire banana, a whole organic banana. You leave the peel on, cut off the ends. You put that in a pot with about 3-4 cups of water, and you let it boil for 5 minutes. And why is because the peel of the banana has more magnesium, potassium, these micronutrients that help you relax. It has more in the peel than the actual banana itself. So as it boils, all that's going to seep into the water. And then after 5 minutes or so, you pour that water into a cup, discard the banana or put it in the freezer, drink the banana tea, and oh my God, I call it nature's NyQuil. It'll relax you and get you ready for bed. If you want to put in some reishi mushroom elixir in there, that'll help. With some chamomile, that'll help as well. That's going to help you wind down. Put your phone on airplane mode as well. At nighttime, read a book, write down what you're grateful for, write down your goals. Practicing good routines at night is going to set you up for a powerful day the next day. So those are a few tips right there.
Okay. So now beyond that, beyond like, you know, the banana tea and then getting your mindset prepared, would you say that, say you're eating foods that are almost like stimulating more of your leaky gut symptoms, say you're eating foods that are making you more inflamed, does that, like, culmination or chronic eating cause you to have bad sleep as well? If you're inflamed throughout the day, does it make you not able to sleep as well as you would if your gut wasn't inflamed?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I forgot who said it, but all disease starts with the gut. So if you have leaky gut, you're having an autoimmune response. Your body's attacking itself. That's going to result in chronic stress, which your cortisol is going to be wonky, and that's going to relate to you being wired and tired. That's what I hear all the time. I'm in bed and I'm wired and I have my thoughts racing, but I'm so tired and all I want to do is sleep. That's, for many people, that's what happens, and that's a result of leaky gut. That's a direct correlation of your hormones being wonky. So definitely, you got to fix the gut. You got to repair the gut. It's all related. We're not talking about different components. We're talking about everything is a holistic. We are a holistic body, so it's all synergistically combined to help you be healthy. So totally, there's a correlation there.
And I think I hear a lot of people too, like want it, or they'll even post this on their Facebook. Like, here's like the 2 tips that will change your life and make you heal this gut issue. And they do the 2 tips, and then they're sorely disappointed. Like, damn it, like that didn't work. And then they go for the next 2 tips, and look for the next 2 tips, and it just becomes these little things they do in isolation, versus thinking of it as a lifestyle. So, you talked about, okay, you're going to start with your sleep, then do the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. How do you get into a mind state or a mindset? Maybe you do start with your gut, and that's going to help your mind too, because there's an axis, right? But how do you get people even to that mindset of, we need to make this a lifestyle? How do you even get to that point?
They need to hire somebody who is doing this and teaching this, right? So hire Sumer. Sumer knows what the hell he's talking about. He's doing it on himself. He's doing it with his clients. So you have to have a GPS. You have to have a mentor. Okay. Otherwise, you're going to go from thing to thing and you're going to be overwhelmed. So have somebody who's going to guide you to what you need to do and hold you accountable to do it. That's something that's super important, is the accountability. So that's it. I mean, they know what they're doing. They teach you what to do and you follow through with it. Some things that I know have worked for me is writing down my gratitude journal every single night. I truly believe, Sumer, that love and gratitude are two of the biggest healers in the world. Just having love for somebody, having love for the world, having love for and gratitude for simple things. Like, I'm grateful that you reached out to me and you wanted to talk to me on Facebook Live. I'm grateful that we're able to spread this message out to everybody else in the world and watching this. So just having a list of things that you're grateful for, you're going to notice yourself feeling so happy, and you're going to get better sleep just from that. So it's like tips like that, little tips like that, but definitely get somebody who knows what they're doing and pay them money to teach you what they know to help you get healthy.
Yeah, there's a lot of humility in just being like, to almost like throw yourself at someone's feet and be like, hey, teach me. Teach me something. There's a lot of humility in that. But I want to ask you, man, like whenever you are in the throes of not being in a good place, when you were just like, you were depressed, you were overweight, like what was going on in your mind in that state? Like what made the shift for you? What shifted you to get to this point?
Yeah, so I was obese for most of my life, and I was depressed, rock bottom. What was going on then is that I was blaming everybody. I was blaming everyone and everything, right? I was blaming my slow metabolism, my genetics, the president, the traffic, my enabling family members, whatever I could get a hold on, I was blaming, and I was taking offense to everything, and I was just not taking any personal responsibility. So everything changed when I took personal responsibility. And you know what? Wayne Dyer, the great and late Wayne Dyer, he said, if other people are the result of your problems, like if your problems are a result of other people, if you keep blaming other people, you're going to have to send a psychiatrist to the world in order for you to get better. And I'm like, damn, that makes so much sense. Ooh. So I took responsibility, dude. I said, I am responsible for the health that I'm in, for my mindset, and everything changed from that moment on. So that's number one. You got to take full responsibility and ownership for where you are in life right now.
That's huge. I think it takes a lot of courage to do that, to even just be vulnerable with yourself and being like, yeah, I'm not where I want to be. And also acknowledge like, this is where I am, right? Like to even say like, this is where you are is already like a huge like step, Because if you just keep ignoring, like, hey, I'm not that person, you keep masking it with things like you were saying, with more exercise, with more this, with more of the tips. We keep doing more tips and tips and tips because we're masking where we really are. And I think that's so powerful, man. You mentioned that, like taking personal responsibility. That's a hard thing to do. And, you know, I know we have like 2 or 3 minutes left. Like, I always ask any guest I've had, whether it's podcast, whatever it is, this question. And, you know, say you were to die tomorrow, right? It can be kind of morbid, but the Native Americans used to have a saying called memento mori. Memento mori meaning like you could die at any moment. Live your life to the fullest right now. And they would yell that before battle. And they would often say that it was so important that they leave something behind that would affect 7 generations from now. So with that being said, what would be something you want to leave 7 generations from now? What do you want people to say about you 7 generations from now?
Wow. I would love my work to continue to live on far beyond me. I want them to say, wow, that Ben Azadi, he told us the truth. Like he cut through the noise and he said things that were very different, but it worked to improve my health and to improve my life. And something I didn't mention during this conversation that I feel it's very important is that it all starts on the inside. You know, everything you see on the outside, your relationships, how you feel, is a manifestation of your thoughts and your feelings. So once you figure that out, once you have that self-awareness of what's going on, everything changes. There's no circumstance on the outside of us that will ever hurt us or help us. It's what's on the inside that counts. So I want them to say about Ben Azadi that Ben Azadi, he made an impact and he helped 1 billion people on planet Earth live a healthier life. And he continues to do so far beyond his lifetime. So that's what I want to say about me.
That's powerful, bro. That's amazing. I love that. So just to get this clear, you have 3 books now or 2 books?
I have 3. My third one, I have the Perfect Health Booklet. I have the fasting one, which is right up here.
Yeah.
I was confused. And then I have the sleep one. This one came out a couple weeks ago. It's all about
Sick.
sleep. And they're all bestsellers on Amazon. And then, so get the book. And also, if you're interested in learning more about my program, like my health coaching program and how I work with people, I launched a new program called the Shred Fat Mastermind. And if you go to shredfatmastermind.com, and I'll put it in the comments, you can get weekly health coaching from me. I have exclusive content for just a low monthly membership. And I would love to work with you and help you get healthy and just change your mindset.
And I will also post the links, all the Amazon links to all his books in the post. So make sure you check that out. Ben, bro, this is awesome, man. Let's do it again.
Yeah, brother. Thank you so much for your time. Keep doing what you're doing. I love you, bro, and I'm inspired by you more than you know.
Love you too, man.
Talk
Peace.
soon.